When we talk about tribal governments, tribal structures, and how they are set up, we have a system. Our tribal traditional governments are thousands and thousands of years old. And in our system, there is no one way, but there is a way. And that is what we're learning again.
So I'm thinking, I don't know, what can we do? This is something that's coming, and how do you stop it? I remember sitting in my office and looking at the minimum requirements, looking at everything, and the elder comes in and he's sitting there, and he says, he says to me, I said, I don't know if this can be stopped. He says, you know what they don't understand, or what they don't know, or what they underestimate? So I'm sitting across from the table. What's that? He says, the power of prayer.
At the camp, we had Oceti Sakowin, and with Oceti Sakowin, we had a council lodge to make decisions, to try to get decisions, because this kind of blew up overnight. How are we going to go? What our next steps would? We started the 7 Council Lodge, and it had been over 140 years before that lodge was set up. What had surfaced was how council lodges worked, and we had nachas, which were elders, the leaders, decision makers. They sat in a line, and then you had kichita, which were warriors who have been in battle or in the military, and then you had tokalas, who were kind of like the police and the ones who would go out and get information to come back. So you had like a structure, and then the information shared there. This is a culture that we haven't exercised for a long time. And when we did it, we had a pipe. We loaded the pipe, and we had a whip man, or they call them yapaha, where they would control the meeting, who was allowed to talk and when to talk. Camp kind of has its own way with all different cultures. It's no longer just Oceti Sakowin. It's no longer the Great Sioux Nation. There are different nationalities, different tribes from all over. So they have camp committees, and they're trying to structure a camp council just to organize and say what they're going to do. So because I am a tribal official, tribal government, because I am considered an IRA government, I had to pull back because they thought I was trying to dictate and I was trying to colonize. And so I said, no, we're here to support, and we're thankful for all our visitors. We're thankful for, we appreciate everything that everyone has done, coming together and sharing in this prayer and supporting us. So I don't want to control or dictate, or I'm not trying to enforce colonization. I'm not trying to impose IRA government on anybody. We'll step back.
It's really one of the things that has really made us feel particularly proud of the prayers that we've made and the stand that we're taking against the pipeline and this going underneath the water, is when other tribes have come to our lands to stand with us, to bring their prayers, to bring their support to us. And it's created a great amount of unity and connectedness, a resurgence of our own identities and our connectedness to one another in this fight. And then you also have all these people who are not Native who are joining us. And I think that has been encouraging as well.
I could tell you so much about the Cannonball River and why it is sacred to me. It means so much to me that I buried my father up there so he could see the Cannonball, Missouri River. I buried my son there. All my cousins and my relatives are buried there right now. And I keep on saying, who would put a pipeline next to a family graveyard? So it's I guess it means the world to me. I know that other people who know the history there are really having a hard time. We call it the Day of the Dogs. when Tim Mintz went out 2 days before and marked all those burials and sacred sites, there's a great turtle effigy out there. And he submitted to the judge, and the judge gave it to Dakota Access lawyers. And Dakota Access stopped working where they were and moved all their equipment to dig up those grave sites. And we got out there, people were crying. And how could they do that? They purposely came to do that. When they brought the dogs and put the dogs on us. And I remember standing out there in that field, and there was a great big gray-headed dog next to me. And there was a woman over here sigging dogs on people, and I was standing there and I was like, oh my God, where am I? Is this America? Who does that? Just to dig up some graves so that they don't have to go to court. Who does that? To me, that is not human.
If you're not acting in violence, you can stop this pipeline. That's what was told to us in the ceremony. The people who live here are going to be the most affected by it. If something bad happens, if a death happens, if bloodshed happens, it heightens racial discrimination. It heightens discrimination. It's not good for the future. The people who live here will have to live with that. All the protectors, all the demonstrators, all the protesters, they're gone when this is over. When this is all said and done, they're gone. And it could be in months, it could be a year, it could be a couple years, it could be in 5 years, but eventually they're gone. When they're gone, who lives with what happens here? It's the people of Standing Rock. So there's one way to look at it. It's like this could end bad, and we have to deal with that. We're gonna have to deal with the trauma. We're gonna have to deal with the racism. Everybody else go home. The other way to look at it is if we remain peaceful and if we remain prayerful. Spirit said this is gonna stop it. If we could do that, and if we can show that unity and prayer is that strong, there isn't a thing in the world that we can't accomplish.
We heard the rain on the window, like a simple waste of time. We heard the sirens wailing, like the wood had lost its mind. We spent our days together,